Welcome, one and all, ladies and gentlemen, and Lovecraftian monsters of all sorts, once more to the anime and simulcast discussion podcast, Divergence Cast. I am one of your hosts, a struggling calligrapher who's really just a kid at heart, JJ. I'm joined by my fellow hosts, a math teacher talking out of his pants, Alex,
What's up?
and a member of the Survey Corps, Stranger, who is most likely going to be the first eaten by a Titan.
Yeah,
And we are currently in between seasons, so this week we will mostly be focusing on general anime discussion. So first off, how have your weeks been?
Pretty normal. I've been reading a lot lately.
Hmm,
Uh, Both manga and just like regular books and whatnot.
cool. Uh, let's see. I finally got caught up with book 3 of Korra, so I'm very much looking forward to book 4 coming out this Friday. And let's see, I played a little bit of a visual novel called The Royal Trap, which is by the same dev that made Long Live the Queen. It kind of has, from what I played, it kind of has some similar of the intrigue of royalty and stuff, though albeit on a smaller scale. And outside of that, not much outside of a couple of schoolwork readings and short stories. How about you, stranger?
let's see. Watched the entire first season of Rick and Morty pretty much,
Hmm,
which Matt introduced me to when I was over at his house.
cool.
And then I've been watching more Shingeki no Kyojin and finished Little Busters.
Cool.
I actually forgot to mention. You guys might have seen on Twitter. I actually started reading and finished because it's only like 61 chapters. This one manga called Frankenfran.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that one before.
It's pretty entertaining. A little bit out of my a little bit out of my comfort zone considering it's horror, but it's also comedy. So no, I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Hmm. All right. Anything else?
Not that I can think of.
All right. Let's start things off with our wrap up of the last two simulcasts we've been, or I suppose I still have Hinagoto, but the last two simulcasts we wish to talk about. Let's start off with Terran Resonance. So, let's see. What are you guys' general thoughts on it?
Uh,
Well,
like
honestly, it started out really good, and I think it ended really good. But it was just like all the parts in the middle that
Yeah,
kind of brought it down from like just being absolutely brilliant.
yeah, and I think it really just started to go downhill when they introduced five. Like
Definitely.
before that, they had all this cool dynamic, sort of similar to Death Note of the investigator guy and not us and Sphinx doing riddles and trying to outsmart each other. But then they introduced five, and it just the dynamic just went away, and it's just started to get annoying at times. I mean, it was still good, but it could have been so much better. And that's what depresses me about the series.
Yeah,
uh,
but like they had all these characters that were just like morally gray and all that, and then all of a sudden they just brought in five, which just screamed evil. And then like that's how it happened for like pretty much most of the rest of the series.
Yeah.
it's sort of like Stranger said. Just sort of feel like they're trying to introduce a villain, and it's really sort of think just the dynamic between
Yeah.
9 and 12 and the detective.
Yeah.
That you could have just done the entire show like that, and it would have been just fine.
Yeah. I feel like they were starting to go a similar idea with Death Note, but then they switched over to like the Code Geass dynamic of constantly throwing a wrench in the main villain's not villains, the anti-heroes' plots, and it just doesn't go well together. I don't know. Just doesn't fit to me. I will say though, it honestly, just in general and especially the last episode, it just had some of Yoko Kanno's best work ever. Just seriously an amazing soundtrack. Just,
Yeah.
you know,
I mean, I don't. I can't really say because I haven't really listened to much for work, so
yeah,
or his or her, I don't know.
her.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
But it did. I think I would say it did have some pretty good
yeah,
songs in the series.
yeah, definitely. In fact, I was just listening to a couple before starting this podcast. Yeah. Let's see. I don't really have much else to say about the series. The ending was just great and it fit perfectly, but just everything before that and just that part in the middle.
Mhm.
Honestly, I'd say it and Tokyo Ghoul were kind of the opposites of each other, maybe. Because in Tokyo Ghoul, or no, I guess not the opposite since they kind of had the same problem. I don't know. Just the chunk in the middle where it's not quite as good as either the beginnings or the end. Just I guess they are pretty similar in as far as their flaws are concerned. Hmm.
Uh, I was gonna say like I would recommend it to
Yeah,
people,
definitely.
like most definitely, because even flaws and all, it's still I thought it was still
Yeah.
entertaining,
Yeah, it's
very
not
entertaining.
it's not like Death Note that just plain up went downhill after like episode 25. It still
Mhm.
ends on a pretty good note.
Yeah, but like I said, I sort of I think when one of the episodes we had Adam on, I expressed that I sort of felt either that was when we had Rado on. I expressed that I sort of felt that it could go the way of how Makaku City Actors went, that it started out with a ton of promise and just sort of petered out eventually. And I will maintain that I sort of think that's what happened, but to a far lesser extent, to be honest. Whereas I still whereas by the time Makaku City Actors just sort of felt like disappointed by the time it got to the end with Terra and Resonance. I was like, this is overall, despite its flaws, it was a good. That's what I thought. Like
Yeah.
overall, despite flaws, it was a good series,
Yeah, it
and I
was
would recommend it to people
yeah, I
to watch.
definitely recommend it to people, especially if they say they like series like say Death Note or Code Geass or others, but it just really depresses me at how much better it could have been. Like it could have had the potential to be the best series of the year, but or one of the best series of the year anyways, but well, it still is one of the best series of the year. It's just not the best if thanks to its flaws.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, any more thoughts on Terra and Resonance?
I think we about summed it up.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. How did you feel about the Barakamon final, Alex?
I actually really liked that. Like compare, I actually think I'm not sure if you saw on Twitter. I said that I still actually sort of think I think it actually probably had the most satisfying ending out of the shows I watched out of the summer
Hmm.
to me, or at least to me, because even though I was a fan, I liked how Terran Resonance ended. I will say I sort of thought especially at the very end, I thought it was sort of like rushed through a little bit.
Yeah. Well,
So I would
it
say even
in general it
well,
was starting to feel a bit rushed near the end, but yeah.
yeah. Well, there were some of the little like, whereas like with Barakamon, I was pretty much laughing throughout the
Hmm.
finale. I
Yeah.
especially loved. I was fucking dying when Honda's mom was like going like ape shit. She didn't want him to go back to the village.
And she's punching what, the guy with glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah. I I'm not sure which series this season I would say had the most satisfying ending for me, and I'm not sure if it is Barakamon or not. But yeah, all around I just love the series, and honestly, it probably does have the best done kid characters. And I know I've said this the last well, basically every time I've talked about the show. But it
Hmm.
honestly has some of the best kid characters I've seen in a series. Just in general, any kind of series, honestly.
Yeah, I'll definitely agree. I'd actually go so far as to say it's probably the best slice of life show I've seen too,
Mm,
because or one at least one of the best. Because like whereas like you watch some of the stuff and I'll even use Nichijou, even though that gets by on being like odd as well. Sometimes you look at some of these slice of life series and just sort of boils down to just people doing like cute things.
yeah,
This one is sort of I don't know, felt more I guess like real I guess.
yeah,
Or I just to me it's better that like it managed to be funny. They let the cute characters be the kids instead of high school girls acting like fucking children or
yeah,
even guys. And like and it's again it managed to be really funny, managed to be heartwarming when it needed to be.
yeah,
And like in the end, it was good to see how Honda wound up to me. Like even though he's still not like the most mature person, he sort of does grow. He grows up from his time at the island,
yeah,
and there's a difference between the two. Him at the beginning of the series and him at the end of the series.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely a really wonderful series all around. Well, any more thoughts on Barakamon?
Not that I can say.
Okay, now while I said we won't really be talking about simulcasts, I have actually watched two simulcasts from the fall season. Let's just get the bad one out of the way. I watched half an episode of that Tribe Cool Crew.
Why would you do that?
I
Like, why?
I don't. I,
Because he likes torturing himself with bad series.
I didn't even last half an episode. The dancing is just creepy CGI, just creepy, creepy as hell. Ugh. And ugh. For some reason, the main character parkours everywhere he goes, and it's why? The
This should be your Momoki and Sorta for the season.
I couldn't even last half an episode. I don't think so.
He's
Eh,
got to keep on. You want the reason why he's doing parkour? Because he has to keep on dancing. Probably why.
I'm
I was actually thinking of watching it, but I don't know.
no.
I think I'm trying to wait for more shows to come
Yeah.
out, so I get instead of just watching one at a time, I can just like get a bunch out of the way. Well, I
Yeah.
was considering checking that out. I think last night.
Yeah. No. It's just nope. And the other series I checked out, which surprisingly wasn't on any charts when I checked, was a series called Karen Shinki. And I'm not quite sure how I feel about it. On the one hand, entirely the story in the first episode at least was like a couple of action scenes cobbled together with only the main character really connecting them and a bunch of robots that look the same. And at times, well, to start it off, it's the series is entirely CGI, so some of the models, most notably the kid character at the beginning, look pretty off, but at the same time, the CGI all around was pretty solid. And I liked a couple of the characters, so I'll probably give it like one or two more episodes. No. Yeah. Well, that's all I have. Anything you want to talk about before we get into the other anime we've been watching?
Uh, yeah, I don't really have anything to say because I actually haven't watched it, but I heard that TerraFormars was censored
Yeah.
badly.
That's the general reaction I've been hearing for it.
Is that why it's gotten low scores, or just because it's actually legitimately bad?
That's from what I've been seeing. It sounds like the censorship was, though I can't really say on the quality since I haven't actually watched it yet.
So I actually remember when it premiered. I think this past Friday was it?
Yeah,
For people on that had premium on Crunchyroll. Adam was telling me, or he direct messaged me that it had gone low scores on a Crunchyroll site. So he's like, we were just talking about it. I was like, can't wait to see for myself.
Yeah. Yeah, it's from what I've from the general reaction I've been hearing, it sounds like it's just as bad, if not worse, than Tokyo Ghoul. Like entire screens just being blacked out.
Hmm.
I don't know. I haven't watched it yet myself either, so I have no idea for certain.
And also, this is more, I guess, more along the line of news, but apparently, Seaman in My Bathtub is going to be on Crunchyroll.
Okay, why?
Okay, that
So
might
we
be
might,
my Momo
yeah,
choice.
we might actually say we all might as well watch it, just the first episode, and see how it
Yes,
is.
yeah, that will be a requirement whenever it comes out. That
It
we
says premiere October 6th.
just whenever we do that episode, all of us just watch it sometimes, and that'll just be the one series this season where we all watch it and comment on it at least. All right. Now let's talk about other anime we've been watching. So, let's see. Who wants to start off first? Mm,
I really got nothing. I haven't really been watching much stuff lately, so I watched like a few episodes of Gintama and Devil is a Part-Timer here and there, but otherwise I really haven't been. I've sort of been out of the loop the last couple of days. Like I said, I've just been reading
mm,
mostly. And then I was gonna say I was going to start Natsume Yujincho on Sunday, but then we got into the whole discussion what we're gonna do for the the watch and react thing that we did in that one other show, and then it got to the point where it's like, it's too late to watch this, so I'm not even gonna bother with it.
mm.
So yeah,
Well, let's see. Me, I've actually finally been able to start a bunch of different series. And the first one I did was one we mentioned last episode, or not exactly mentioned, but called Tennis on Cocaine, aka Teekyu. And it's basically tennis on cocaine, but not really much about the tennis part.
yeah.
Eh,
I
what?
saw how you were posting like a bunch of screens, and
Yeah,
I went from wanting to watch it because it seemed so random, then wondering, it's like, should I waste my time on this considering how stupid it seems to get?
it
But I'm still considering watching it. Just remember, just everything you were posting about it is like tennis is like a complete afterthought.
it pretty
It's like
much
might
is.
it's like it might as well just probably just belongs in the description because it's like there's nothing in the screenshots you posted that indicates tennis has anything to do with it.
Yeah, you only I mean in the picture you of that they used to for the series on Crunchyroll, it's like only the very main character's actually using a racket. And whenever it's well, to be fair, the series is like 2 minutes long per episode, so actually having tennis in it would probably be pretty boring. But yeah, there's basically very little or to nothing to do with tennis except for like a few references here and there.
But it's sort of funny because well you said one of the characters is always holding a tennis racket.
Y- I
Well, you
don't.
said one of the characters holds a tennis racket, right?
Yeah.
It's almost as if it's saying it's tennis in spirit.
Well, to be fair, she is the only one who's actually trying to do tennis, the character holding the tennis racket. And the thing is, it's like a 12 to 24-minute episode sped up to 2 minutes, and compared it before, but it's basically Kill la Kill from Mako's point of view. It's so freaking random. Uh, and another series I've been watching, which is actually kind of the polar opposite of Teekyu, is Katanagatari, which feels like a 24-minute series slowed down to 50 minutes an episode. Uh, the art style is pretty interestingly different, which I like when art styles do that compared to the norm. the main character is kind of an idiot, but at the same time, he feels like the most self-aware character in the shonen series. Uh, I I do have a few complaints towards the series, admittedly. Like, for starters, it's basically a bit of a time investment, since 50 minutes an episode for like 12 episodes. Yeah, you gotta find time for that. And even with the amount of time it has, some things feel longer than they need to be, and others oddly feel rushed at the same time. Most notably, some of the fights, while they feel satisfying, were pretty anticlimactic. It's basically all this build up and just the fight ends in like a minute or two. Uh, and the writing can feel cheap at times. There's an, yeah, just cheap at times, and I don't really like what they do with the main character's sister that much. All that side, though, I've honestly been enjoying what I've seen from the series so far, and it does a lot of what Akame ga Kill tried to do with like the weapons and uh, well, in general, but only with actual coherency and moral ambiguity,
Hmm.
i.e., the villains aren't all mini Hitlers. And the last thing I've been watching the last couple of days is that series you were trying to get us to watch, Ishida and yeah,
Asakura.
Asakura. Oh god, that is probably one of the most stupidest series, if not in the top 20 of stupidest series I've watched.
I don't know, man. Me and my brother we were just like it's when we first had gotten Crunchyroll. We were just looking through series, and we just saw that, and uh, who is it? Ishida with
Uh,
the fro.
I think it was
I
Asakura. Yeah,
Either way, we just saw. I was like, "There's no way we can't watch this."
yeah,
And like, I'll admit, it is probably one of the dumbest things I've
yeah.
ever watched.
It's
But
it's enjoyable, yes, but good God, is it dumb?
you gotta admit that
Yeah,
opening, which takes up like 30 minutes out of 2 minutes, or 30 seconds out of 2 minutes, it's pretty catchy.
yeah, it was all right, but I'd say it's on the same level as say the comic artist in the amount of just why and then and it's enjoyable, but good God, is it dumb? What is up with the math teacher who talks from his fly? I I
Uh,
I can't,
it's a crazy series.
yeah,
I
yeah.
honestly wish Stranger had watched at least one episode, but I'm not sure if he did.
Yeah, I kind of completely forgot about it when I was watching Shingeki no Kyojin.
Ooh, let's talk about that.
Okay, like I don't even want no like how to express just how awesome it is so far.
Yeah, it. Yeah, I thought it might be a series you'd like, though. Again, I wasn't 100% certain, but oh, it just catches you. But well, it either catches you by surprise or you find stuff you don't like about it. But good God, I myself was going in expecting not to like it, and well, I ended up loving it. So,
Yeah, I had to wait for a while before watching it because of all the hype. Like if I watched it like right as everyone was talking about it, I swear like no matter how good it was, it could have measured up to the hype.
yeah,
But
definitely.
like coming back to it later after like everyone quits talking about it so much, I'm really enjoying it
Yeah,
now that I can just watch it for what it is instead of what everyone says it is.
yeah. Yeah, that tends to be the way with some shows. Let's see. Anything else?
Like,
Uh,
I would say, like, one of my biggest complaints with it so far is that it seems like they try and make things, like, be grimdark and just intense a little bit too often.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing that it does a lot of, where it's very much trying to be very intense and grimdark. Like, there's some stuff in the second season that's a lot like that as well.
I mean, the second season or the second core.
Second core, sorry. I didn't mean season. Uh,
But, but yeah, like, just in the first episode, like, one of the survey corps freaking hands a mother her kid's arm, and like that was just going way over the top. Dude
yeah,
screaming about how he couldn't save him.
yeah,
It's just stuff like that that kind of takes away from the immersion a little bit.
yeah,
Like it's a dark enough story without them having to add all the extra drama into it.
yeah,
But yeah, like I'm really liking the character dynamic between Aaron and Mikasa.
yeah, yeah,
I think
definitely.
they're like perfect balances for each other because Aaron is just like the badass, um, hot blooded shonen protagonist, and like Mikasa's like really cool headed and can sit there and hold him back whenever he's being a little bit too rash and stupid with things.
Yeah,
And I just think they're like really good complimenting each other.
yeah, definitely.
And and then crap, what's his name?
Armin or
Yeah, Armor.
yeah,
He is like he's kind of like a wild card. Like sometimes he'll like just kind of be weak and not interesting, but then pull off something awesome.
yeah. So, how far did you get in it?
Halfway through the series now.
Okay, cool.
Like I just finished episode 13 last night,
Yeah,
along with like the 5 episodes before it.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Like
Oh,
I swear, when I get into that, I just can't stop watching. Like, okay, I have to know what happens next.
yeah.
Okay, that was the next episode. Now I need to know what happens next.
God! When season two starts, it's going to be killer. Just having to wait weeks at a time for new episodes. Uh,
Oh my goodness, that's gonna kill me.
yeah, definitely. Uh, just thinking about it is painful. Uh, let's see. Anything else we want to talk about?
I got nothing.
All right, news and topics. The Kill la Kill cast for Tsumugi can, uh, the Mohawk guy, Nui and Ragyo, yeah, Ragyo have been announced. The Mohawk guy is going to be voiced by Kaiji Tang. Nui is going to be voiced by Stephen Shea, and wait for it, Ragyo is going to be voiced by Laura Post, aka the voice of Valentine. So I want to
All
be
the
right here saying I fucking called it. I
just to rain on you for rage, you called Stephanie Shea Stephen Shea, so.
why did you have to ruin it, Alex? Why?
Who'd you say
Why?
is playing that? Who'd you say is playing the Mohawk dude?
Uh, Kaiji Tang, I think. Is I
I don't think I've ever heard any roles.
I
You've heard.
don't really know either. So I, at least not off the top of my head. Let's see. In okay.
Like, I'm looking at the list of like other roles that like Kaiji Tang did, and not really nothing. Looks like a lot of side characters and
I
stuff.
Yeah,
know. I know Stephanie Shea played
yeah,
Hime in Bleach.
yeah, and
She's done a few other roles I'm
yeah.
familiar with.
I think she voiced Mikuru in the dub of Haruhi. And what else? Yeah, it looks like it's generally side roles, so it's going to be interesting to see him in there, and video game roles. Okay, let's see, what other news do I have? Apparently, the Steins writer Naotaka, Hayashi, and the Infinite Stratos character designers are attached to some sci-fi rom-com anime series called Plastic Memories. So I have no idea uh, what it's going to be like, but
It'll probably
that's
be worth checking out.
yeah, probably. Any news that you guys have?
Uh,
You really think of anything?
What?
Can't really think of anything.
Okay. Well, if not, I guess we'll head over to games or VNs we recommend. Let's see. Me this week, I recommend Long Live the Queen. This game forces you to be evil. Like, the main premise of the game is that the previous queen has recently died, and your pink-haired princess is now on her way to becoming the queen. So you have to train and last a certain amount of weeks until your coronation. The
I never beat it.
yeah, the thing about the game is that you don't actually know what the events are until they happen. So you don't really know what to train your princess in before they happen, so more than likely you're going to have to restart the game entirely the first time through,
Hmm.
which might take some out of the experience, but just the fact that you eventually find yourself basically executing anyone who crosses you in order to have your princess survive to become the queen is kind of an interesting enough experience all on its own. Uh,
Some of the deaths in that game can be dark.
Yeah, and the way that they like give it a cutesy doily sort of thing of the princess with like either a sword in her back if she's been stabbed or
Poison.
poison. Yeah, death by
I think the one. I
chocolate.
think the one time. I think the one naval battle against that like enemy army. She winds up I think she winds up getting killed by a kraken for
Yeah,
me. So I just showed her like drowning because of the kraken.
yeah, yeah.
There was also one where I think my magic backfired on me, and she just wound up. She's like burnt to a crisp.
Yeah, yeah. The deaths can be pretty dark in that game. Uh,
It was ridiculous. I
yeah.
started it like when I got on one of the Steam sales, and then I played quite a bit of it, and then just completely forgot about it.
Yeah, I definitely want to get. I finished the game, but I definitely want to go back to it eventually and try to get the other routes and the different ways to feed it. Because it does leave it open for enough options where you can beat the game in different ways if you know how to do it right. But you kind of have to metagame it, so yeah, that can take some out of the experience, I'd say. How about you guys?
Uh, I don't have much I'm playing right now to recommend, but I'll just go ahead and recommend Psychonauts.
Oh yeah, I second that.
Uh, Honestly, like depending on how you play, because I played actually as a PC controls and never really had much of an issue with, controlling it. I've heard that it does have bad control, like sort of like okay controls on like a console,
Eh, That
but
that I will say that the last episode of it is terrible as hell.
well, yeah, even on PC that was a bit of a pain in the ass to manage. But even then, I'd actually say it's probably one of my favorite 3D platformers, and it has a lot to do with the writing.
Oh, definitely.
That is probably one of the funniest games I've played.
Yeah.
'Cause
Oh, oh,
I loved the what is it called? When you're in the one guy's head,
uh, the
the
milkman.
milkman, yeah, the milkman. What is it
Yeah.
called? The
Uh,
milkman prophecies or something like that.
yeah, I
I
think.
can't remember what it's officially called, but I loved the like FBI people, how they would just say, "I am a widow," or all that. It was like we are the road crew. Our backs are very tired. It was like completely ridiculous writing. Then at the end, it's like, "I am the milkman. My milk is delicious." I loved that section of the game so much.
Yeah.
And I will say like it was slightly tedious, because you had to find some stuff, and it could be a pain in the ass to find it. But I never really got tired of being in there because there's just like all these like one-liners, like which otherwise wouldn't be funny, being said in a monotone way. It sort of just made it hilarious for me, and then just the milkman himself was hilarious.
Yeah.
Like I said, pretty really writing is what shines in that game,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
it stinks if it could never. I mean, it might have just ruined it for all we know. It stinks that there can never be a Psychonauts 2 more than likely.
Yeah.
'Cause that like in that game that whole that whole thing could use some expanding. I think
Yeah.
you could have gone multiple games out of like a Psychonauts thing. Hell, you could have gone back and like looked at the counselors like stuff or like how they got into the Psychonauts and whatnot.
Yeah. It's definitely a
So yeah.
game that would benefit from expansion and sequels and stuff. Because the main thing that prevented it was because back when it was released, it didn't really do well in sales. But
Mhm.
honestly, it's pretty good sized cult hit now, I think.
Yeah.
Uh,
So that'd be what I recommend.
yeah. And you, stranger?
I'm just gonna randomly throw out a recommendation for Castlevania Dinosaur.
Castle?
Like
Which Castlevania?
it's Dinosaur.
Hmm.
It's I believe it's the first one for DS, but it's got like really good Metroidvania style gameplay that's like really highly polished. There's a ton of customization options that like really fun to mess around with. Plus, I mean, like it's just got a fantastic soundtrack.
Hmm.
Although at this point, that's kind of a staple of Castlevania games.
Yeah, definitely.
But, like there's some tracks in there I'll just listen to over and over and over again.
Uh,
Yeah, so like if you like Metroidvania style gameplay or exploration or whatever, you should definitely give that a try.
okay. Well, moving on from games or VNs we recommend, unless there are any others you wish to recommend.
Go
Nothing.
go Nippon.
We already did that last week, stranger.
And we'll do it again next week.
Well, anime we recommend. I recommend Terror in Resonance, since well, we already basically talked about it the last couple of weeks, and you heard it earlier, but it's none. Well, it does have its problems. It was nonetheless a very fantastic story, and especially if you're looking for something like Death Note or Code Geass, then you should definitely give it a try. How about you, Alex?
I'll go the same route as you did. Recommend a summer show. I'm gonna recommend Barakamon largely because it's probably one of the most. It's gonna be even if you don't really have the taste for that kind of stuff. It's really pleasant show, and usually constantly, not really constantly, but it's funny. And if you somehow don't like that show, then I don't know what to say because it's just really altogether really enjoyable.
Hmm? And you, stranger?
I'm going to recommend a summer show, Shingeki no Kyojin, which like just ignore the hype and just watch it for what it really is, and you should be really enjoying it if you haven't already.
Yeah. Well, see. Is there anything else we wish to talk about, or should I go move on to our outro?
I would say I'm just gonna say this, just so you can see how we're gonna witness how stupid it is yourself. Watch Ishida and Asakura as well.
Hmm.
It's 12 episodes, only 2 minutes a pop, and it won't take you what more than a half hour at all.
Hmm. Well, with that said, hopefully you enjoyed this week's episode of Divergence Cast, though admittedly it's a lot significantly shorter than our others. If you'd like to follow the podcast or any of us on Twitter, our usernames should be in the description. Additionally, you can follow us on my anime list, or Ask.fm under the same names. Be sure to subscribe to our channel and, of course, share our video if you'd be so inclined. Well, until next time, later.
Peace.
Later.